Okay, you ready?
Why?
There it is. I had to get it on camera.
It's just so piercing.
It really is. I don't know how I developed that. Actually, most people I know don't clap like that right into the palm. But
Yeah,
that's the trick. Yeah.
You got kind of like normal man-sized hands.
Yeah.
It's just like genetically the DNA says, all right, it's a man apparently. Let's do man-sized hands and whatever, just sprinkle some bullshit in the rest.
You know, it reminds me of those when some like small old grandma does one of those whistles you can hear for a half mile.
Oh, like
Right, that disproportionate.
no wonder you're deaf, Grandma.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Whiskey Vault.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Rex.
This is
and
from Magnificent Bastard Gordon Akagi.
Gordon Akagi, you magnificent.
Bastard.
10-year-old Bulleit.
I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's so
Now-
Bulleit? Normally it's not 10 years old.
No, I think it's actually mostly around 6, roughly speaking.
Okay.
So we're only getting another 4 years off of it.
Okay.
It's in a reasonable price range, and in the roughly the $40-ish
Okay.
in our area anyway. We don't know where it's coming from.
Okay. So Bulleit's
Right.
one of these bigger companies
Right.
that is sourcing their whiskeys.
Yeah, now they have the actual distillery now, but this is the 10-year-old.
See, as much as I hear like Bulleit, and it's always like this asterisk, they have their own distillery now, but still what you
How much
usually are
time?
getting, what you're usually getting for Bulleit, it's not necessarily something that they're making. They're still sourcing heavily, maybe?
I don't know. It's super. Everywhere you look, it just says source undisclosed.
All right.
And for a while, it was Four Roses. It's not Four Roses anymore.
I would be very interested in trying, because it's such an established brand at this point. I'd be very interested in trying something that we absolutely know they made from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like a sweet tea on the nose for me.
And cinnamon and
yeah.
like
No,
a honey herbal, but not like really plant herbal.
I'm not getting, honey. I'm not getting the cherry note. Maybe a little apple and baking spices in there with that sweetened tea. And was this just a regular lower
I could
bulletproof, 45.6% ABV?
I brought out the original Bulleit too. I could totally see, although this is who is 45.
Everything I'm expecting from the nose, it delivers on the taste, but it does have this kind of an intrinsic, well, the finish though, the finish is strong, but the leading up to that was like a little bit thin,
Now the finish is great.
and then the finish
You know what it reminds me
really
of?
gives you that volume. Yeah,
It reminds me of cinnamon toast, like homemade cinnamon toast.
Okay.
With like a little bit of browned butter in there.
Yeah.
Right? So like, you ever pan fry toast?
it's just a lot of effort, man.
It's greasy as hell, but it's,
Yeah.
you just butter and then sear it in the pan,
Yeah.
right? Then so the butter gets browned a little bit, and then you put it in cinnamon sugar on top.
Yeah, my mom did that,
Yeah.
but I did. Yeah, it's just,
Okay, so
I want to push the button and get the food.
comparatively,
Oh, they're not wildly different.
it's just a little bit more dense and a little bit darker, but not so much so that it's like, wow, that's a whole different ballgame.
The tin is a little bit more dark than.
It does taste. It has the same thinness, but then the finish drops off the cliff compared to the tin.
The tin has thinness, but then the finish is really nice.
Yeah, it sort of ramps up at the end.
So far, I think that's the thing that the extra age is delivering. Because it's very similar whiskeys, but it's still relatively thin, but you get this big, rich turning up of the volume on the flavors as it finishes on the tin.
Yeah, I like that too. I think I definitely prefer it to the classic Bulleit.
Right.
Right, like if I was picking one to have in the house at the price range of 30, 40, although at the price range of $40,
yeah, dude,
I
it's
mean, I
rubbing
could also
shoulders.
get like Henry McKenna tin.
Right, if we're grading it on the curve of what you're going to be able to get at that level. Because it's
Actually,
so
maybe
easy.
not anymore. But
It's so easy to go into whiskeys. It's like, well, I like this one. It's like, oh, well, that one's like not even close to as good as this other one. So what's like that one's $120.
Yeah.
That one's $35.
Yeah.
But the price point kind of just gets blown out of a lot of these conversations, just blown out of the equation entirely. In this case, right? I'm thinking, well, it's rubbing
40.
shoulders. It's rubbing shoulders with some other brands that I think you have some some options that at least I think are nice.
Oh, you know what else is in that range?
No.
Wild Turkey
Wild-
rare breed.
The rare breed?
Yeah.
Is that range?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
I think it's in the $40 range.
Oh, I like the rare braid. Oh, okay.
Anyway, yeah.
So what needs to happen
I much
for
prefer
us
the
for us to pull down the rare?
Look, we've got a Rare Whiskey Friday coming up in today's shoot, and we still have a lot of work to do.
So
And you've got comments.
So you hold on.
I will pour you a rare breed when we're done shooting.
Okay. Wait.
What?
Son of a bitch. What are you, like 12?
Totally.
Josh Hubel. What whiskey would you say you have drank the most of in your life? For me, it would be close between Wild Turkey 101,
Right.
which is what he's doing right now.
Right.
That's his go-to. And the Jameson in his younger years.
Here's the irony. I was thinking about that. So
Yeah.
I've been now drinking whiskey aggressively,
Yeah.
let's say, for, 5 years? As far as being part of the school and then starting the Vault episodes 4 years ago. We're going on to 6 years, right?
Okay.
However, here, I'm always drinking a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
I spent from ages 21 until, so I spent a decade at least, not really obsessing over various whiskeys and mostly just drinking Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
I'm betting, even with all of the work I've done drinking whiskey recently, I still haven't caught up to the amount of Jameson and Bushmills that I consumed over a decade.
Okay.
I'm
So you're
betting.
talking about like the go-to you were doing for so long.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if you look at it cumulatively, now, not what I go for these days all the time,
Right.
but if you look at it cumulatively,
Yeah.
I bet I still haven't caught up to the Jameson Bushmills
Okay. Do you know Bulleit?
volume.
Bulleit, this brand right here, is one of the first whiskeys I ever had in my life.
Yeah.
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 And it was
Frontier, Bob.
No, and there's like the good associations and stuff about the events surrounding the pouring and but for me, I'm thinking it's either going to be the Redbreast or maybe a Lefroy. The 10. Yeah. For whatever reason, the
After
Lefroy.
the first one I bruised you with.
Well, but it also just keeps appearing in my life.
Yeah.
Like
I think Emma might be secretly repping them.
right.
Like,
just
just
it keeps showing up. Like I don't buy a lot
Damn
of whiskeys. Did she put it up there? She put it up there.
she was in here. She was in here giving a tour yesterday. I didn't even think to look.
On the quintessential wall.
Yeah.
That's funny. But anyways, my collection at home, I mean, I never have more than 3 bottles. It's usually down to like half of 1 bottle. For whatever reason, the Froigs, I don't buy them. Like the Froig 10 just keeps appearing and somehow ending up on the shelf. And that's not a problem. I'm not complaining. It's a nice whiskey, but it's either the Redbreast or the Lefroy.
Yeah.
Sandage.
Sandge Binders.
Binders. Sandage's Binders.
S. Binders.
Binders. Can Daniel please explain how whiskey makers maintain the same taste and smell to their whiskeys when every barrel tastes different? Rex, you're awesome too. Blending. That's how awesome I am.
Now, here's the thing that most people still don't realize, actually, which is there's so many inputs into the flavor process of whiskey. There's the grain, and that has an input, and the fermentation, blah, blah. Then there's the distillation, which has a huge impact on cuts and things. And then there's managing the barrels, right? But every major whiskey brand, like Bulleit, like any Scotch that you've had from a single distillery, even the ones from single distilleries, they are working with hundreds of barrels and blending them together.
Right.
And that is art form right there, right? Having a knowledge of your stocks.
Right.
And then having a knowledge of how combinations of those stocks tend to work together.
Yeah.
And then the ability to take those combinations and have them match a previous release.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. It's not easy.
And especially, it doesn't take a tremendous amount of whiskey consumption before you start to become flavor blind.
Yeah.
And very often they'll bring in, outside perspectives and fresh palates. I mean, even at Balcones, it's not a monstrous brand, but it's big enough for them to need to be able to start getting very consistent releases, right? There's a flavor profile that a lot of people already know and love, and they need to get damn close to that.
Yeah.
And they have enough barrels to where they can go exploring through all their barrels and start combining it into what their single malt, for example, needs to be.
But this is why the smaller guys tend to lean towards batch releases, where they're in the same direction, in the same family, but like a close sibling.
Yeah, they'll get 80 to 90% there usually, but they just don't have the volume of barrels to be able to blend together enough stuff that they can absolutely hit that mark every single time. It takes a massive amount of barrels because there's so much variation in single barrel releases. There was an episode that we touched on this a little bit over at Balcones. What was the episode we did with Jared?
I don't remember the title of it.
Was it Whiskey
Master Blender?
No, Whiskey Blending Mastery on the Whiskey Tribe channel with Jared Hempstead, Master Distiller over at Balcones. And we go, in part of the episode, into this room where they just have hundreds and hundreds of samples out with little sticky notes of each
individual
flavor set of what's going into each of these things, so they can figure out that barrel and this blend. And so it's very tedious, but there's worse jobs.
I can think of a few.
Yes. Here's the fighting, stealing, and drinking.
If you fight me, I fight for a friend.
You steal, may you steal your liver's heart.
And if you drink,
may you drink with us.